Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug Show. This is like one of those side hustle interviews. So I talked to Shane Meyers, and he is well known on YouTube as the Rise and Grind Picker. I will put a link in the show notes and description so you can get to that. And kind of a cool thing, I was reviewing Shane's channel a few minutes ago, and it's been a few months since he and I talked when we first recorded this, but his channel was like blowing up like the month that I chatted with him. So I'm just going to, ballpark it. I think his channel was at something like 3,000 subscribers, like a few weeks before I chatted with him. By the time I talked to him, it was at 7,000. Right now, a few months later, it's at 20,000. His trajectory is amazing. He got a viral video, right? He created a viral video. It was like a Dollar Tree arbitrage. And that's what we're talking about today. It's all about retail arbitrage. And Shane basically leaned into what was working so well, retail arbitrage. And Shane goes into a lot of detail in his videos. He actually brings his camera into different stores and looks through the clearance shelves. And he obviously has a good strategy about how he's, making purchases and taking care of it from there. He specializes generally in reselling on eBay and on Amazon. In the interview, Shane tells us about one of his biggest scores, and it was through an auction where he bought a storage unit, I guess that someone didn't claim the stuff. And then he also tells us about how you can get started with reselling. And it's a pretty straightforward business model. You buy something for a good deal, and then you sell it somewhere else where maybe you can, sell it for a little bit more, like eBay or Amazon. Shane tells us how he got started exactly like his first few flips. And kind of the idea is, you buy something, whatever you could afford that is a good deal, you sell it for a little bit more, and then you take that and reinvest it, right? You buy it, you find something else that's a good deal, then you buy that, and then you sell it for more. So, like I said, it's a pretty straightforward business model. Shane tells us a little bit about his YouTube journey. I was just personally interested in asking questions about that. And at the time when I interviewed him, I think my channel was something like 30% larger than his. And now his is something like, 50% larger than mine as far as subscribers. So this is a great example of looking at data, seeing what is working. Because, without even talking to Shane in the last couple months, I know that he was looking at the videos that were doing really well, and he was creating more videos like that. And he also has a huge community aspect where he's very involved in the comments. I think he does live streams pretty often as well. So I can go on and on about what a great YouTuber Shane is, but instead I'm going to send it to the interview so you can hear his story. What's up? Doug Cunnington here, and I'm sitting with Shane Meyers. How are you doing today, Shane?
Hey, good, Doug. Thanks for having me on.
All right. And most of the people on my channel and viewers don't know who you are. So can you give a little bit of an intro about yourself and your YouTube channel?
Absolutely. So my name is Shane, and I go by the Rise and Grind Picker on YouTube. And I have a YouTube channel that revolves around a little bit of marketing, reselling, selling on eBay and Amazon, and how to build online businesses.
Awesome. Now, I want to jump into something exciting. So do you have any like epic flips that you've done, any that just got to lead with? Like, what's the biggest thing you've done?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest things I've done is I've been reselling since about 2005-ish. And around 2007, I actually hit a storage unit that I paid $1,200 for and profited about $6,000 off of one storage unit. It had like a really old barn inside it and a really old truck. And as soon as I moved everything, it had like brand new power tools stacked up and all sorts of stuff. It was like a contractor's unit that had like the business had failed. And I was able to scoop it up. So.
Wow. And I don't know much about the business model, to be honest with you. So for a storage unit, it's just auctioned off, or how does that situation work?
Yeah, so most of the time, so now they actually have a website that you can actually go online and you can actually buy a storage unit, and it's called storagetreasures.com. But back then, you didn't really have that. And so you would go to an auction and they would just auction it off. And in that scenario, sometimes they go really, really high.
Wow. That's pretty cool. So you paid $1,200, grossed like 6,000. So yeah, pretty amazing.
6, 7, yeah, something like that.
And I guess how scary is that to like bid on something and it could be full of like old, newspapers or whatever, right?
It's pretty scary. I mean, it's a huge risk. And I don't do a lot of storage auctions anymore just because there's a lot of risk involved, especially after all the TV shows. Some of the actually storage unit places aren't too on the up and up. So you kind of got to really watch out for like them loading the units and stuff like that.
Got it. All right. So we could backtrack a little bit. And luckily, like I said, I don't know much about the business model. And for the other people that don't know much, can you just sort of like lay out the retail arbitrage model and some of the selling and reselling that you do?
Absolutely. So retail arbitrage, what you do is you walk into a retail store and it's simple. You just buy low and sell high. So when you walk into a retail store, you want to find items that are usually on clearance or potentially being discontinued. And that discontinued items are a very sought after item because they're not going to be in stock anymore. So people want to buy them.
Where do you resell typically?
So I live in Illinois. And so I basically source in Illinois. I also travel out of state. I'll travel Chicago, stuff like that. But I also sell on Amazon, eBay. I do not do any local sales. Just really Amazon and eBay is about the only two I do.
Okay. And I guess, are there certain products where it'd be better on Amazon versus eBay? How do you make that determination?
Absolutely. So a lot of your products on Amazon, I sell a lot of books on Amazon, and a lot of your products on Amazon, especially from retail stores, sometimes you'll get those products like let's say beauty supplies, stuff like that. It's on clearance. Sometimes you can pick it up for a couple bucks. It may sell on Amazon for like $5, but you also may be restricted in it because in the health and beauty section, Amazon restricts tons of people. And on eBay, it could be getting like $10. And eBay doesn't restrict anybody. So it's, and sometimes it does bad on both. You just got to kind of like make that determination.
Okay. And how did you get started with this in the beginning? You said like 2005, right? So you've been doing this a while. Yeah.
So really back then, it was really truly a side hustle. All I did was I just did it for a little bit of spare money, whatever. And I wasn't really serious about it. I still have a 9 to 5 I go to, but I actually have a licensed business in the state of Illinois, and it's kind of grown into that. And one day I had $20 in my savings account, and I'm like, I need to figure something out. I need to figure something out quick. And my wife is like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I used to resell a lot on eBay and stuff. And this was before I even knew YouTube existed in reselling. I didn't even know that. And I took the $20. I went to a thrift store and I bought some small purchases, and I just kept flipping them over and over. And eventually you can build a business out of truly nothing because there's no overhead.
Wow. And do you remember like what those first few items were?
Yeah, I think really one of the items I picked up was an electronic dog collar, still in the package at a thrift store. I bought it for $1.99 and sold it for $98.
Wow. And I was going to say, we have a dog and we use an electronic dog collar. Yep. And I know they're pricey. Even at $98, like that's a pretty good deal. So
yeah, absolutely.
They're expensive. And you got it for $1? Is that what you said?
Yeah, $1.99. Yeah. And it was a pet safe. So it was just a collar and the little transmitter box, and it was $98 and some change.
Amazing. That's pretty cool. So you started with $20, you flipped a couple times, and you were like, hey, this works. So, and you said you still do a full-time job, so this is still a side hustle for you?
Yeah, it's still really a side hustle. The only difference is I actually put full-time hours into it now because I have to, because it's actually a legit business. I have a lot to ship out. I'm doing probably per week to Amazon for books, probably about 50 to 80 pounds of books a week into FBA.
Okay. And that's how you measure it these days, by the poundage?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's say you need more, goods, right? So how do you go out? Where do you source this stuff? So thrift stores, you mentioned. What are some other sources out there?
So since I have a business license in the state of Illinois and a reseller's license, I can actually buy wholesale. So just like, big box stores, I won't get the discount they get, but I can buy wholesale. I do thrift stores, estate sales, garage sales. Really, auctions are really a really good source to do that with. Really anywhere that you can think of that you can really buy something for a lower cost to be able to flip it. A lot of luck that I've had on finding stuff has been on like Let Go, OfferUp, and Craigslist.
Cool. And then basically someone just wants like something hauled away. I'm most familiar with Craigslist. So someone's like, just pick it up, and you could basically show up with a truck or your car. And as long as you take it, they're happy, right? Yeah.
And Craigslist, you can buy stuff off there too. But I like to look at the free category because I had a lady that actually had posted a ton of books for free. I'm not even going to lie. It was like 200 or 300. It was crazy. My car was completely full of books. I picked them up and I think I profited like almost $2,000 off of that deal.
It's so amazing. Okay. So they just wanted it out and you took it and then interesting. Yeah. And who, I don't know. I'm kind of blown away, to be honest with you.
And the crazy part is in that big mess was a bunch of nursing textbooks. And I really didn't think they were going to be worth a lot because textbooks, it really is hit or miss. And there was like 3 or 4 textbooks that were in the over $100 range, like $120 to $118 range in that box.
Wow. So what do you consider like a good day when you're going out, say to garage sales or thrift stores or whatever?
A good day, really what I consider a good day would be if you're going to go out to garage sales and thrift stores. I would say if I could find at least in one day $400 to $300 in profit, it's a pretty decent day. I found way more than that other times, but it really just depends.
Sure. And I guess, like you said, some days you're going to make $2,000, and I'm sure other days it's a dud, right? There's nothing good out there.
Right, exactly.
So it sounds sort of intense with the work you have to do, which sounds dumb, right? Because everything takes work. But in this case, like you're literally going around driving. Is there a way to kind of minimize that a little bit, or is that actually just part of the fun and enjoyment of like the hunt, right?
Well, for me, a lot of it's a hunt, but if you really want to minimize it, what I do is I have a website on my phone. It's called Book Sale Scouter or something like that. I think it is. Hold on. Yeah. And what that does is it takes all the book sales in the United States and it lets you search in book sales in your area, anywhere you want to search at. Some of these book sales have over 1 million books. So if you're going to source for Amazon FBA, that's the perfect place to do it. You know, you might drive 2.5 hours one way, but the profit's going to be pretty decent.
Okay, cool. And you said you mainly focus on books just in general?
Yeah, for Amazon FBA, I do because personally, I'm restricted in every category. I actually just started selling on Amazon August 2nd, and I'll pull up my numbers here. Today is the 22nd, and keep in mind your first shipment takes a little while to get to Amazon, but I've done $800 in revenue just in 2 weeks on Amazon.
Wow. Okay. You have been doing this for a while, but who are some people that you follow, maybe that inspire you? Maybe they're a little bit ahead of you, stuff like that.
Definitely, yeah. So some of the people that, kind of inspire me, you have Pete, the Craigslist hunter. He is one of the big YouTube influencers in reselling, and he has a pretty big subscriber base. He lives in Chicago. He has his own store and he sells online, so he's really adapted business. And then you have Chad, the Golden Finger Picker, same kind of deal. He has a pretty large YouTube influence, and then he's been doing it a really long time and is really resourceful.
And are most resellers focused on YouTube, or are there bloggers? And then I don't know the ecosystem, so is it mostly? Do you guys mostly live on YouTube?
For me, I do Twitch and I do YouTube. Now, my Twitch account was kind of a test, and I just wanted to see kind of the marketing I could get in the subscriber base. And I haven't really done a lot of videos, but on YouTube, I've been doing YouTube about 1.5 years. And then there is also a handful of resellers that have a pretty big influence, but there's a big community around reselling where you can actually kind of reach out to people and stuff like that. So
gotcha. I spend most of my time in the affiliate marketing area. And it's interesting, like how like siloed off we are, even though it's such a close like relationship, the business model and stuff. So yeah, kind of crazy. As I started looking, there were just huge channels, tons of interaction, big communities, and I had no idea.
So. And same here. I mean, when I first got into reselling, I had no idea, and I did it for several years and had no clue.
You have been doing this a while. I expect that you probably made a few mistakes. I know I've made tons of mistakes. I still make them. They're just much bigger now. So do you have a need to share? Maybe you could help folks avoid some mistakes if they're getting started.
Absolutely. So when you first get started in reselling, one of the biggest mistakes that resellers make is comparing themselves to someone else's business. I mean, I can show you, pull up my eBay account and show you that I've had several weeks where I've done $1,000 in sales in 1 week, but you can't compare yourself to that when you're first starting out. A lot of resellers like to do that when they first start out. I want those numbers, but realistically, you're just going to be chasing someone else's business. You got to make it work for you.
I think that probably translates to like most any business model, because it's really hard. Like you do want to compare yourself to someone who's been doing it for 13 years, It's pretty hard to jump in on day 2 and do that. So,
and what helps me out a lot in the aspect of retail arbitrage, like going into retail stores, is I did retail management for 9 years and also held corporate level jobs in retail management. So really for me, like retail arbitrage, I know how stores ticket their clearance. I know a lot of information that no one else would know for that. So that really gives me kind of a leg up a little bit.
Gotcha. Can you share like one little thing of that? That sounds pretty mysterious.
Absolutely. So like Target, for example. So I actually held an executive level job at Target for 2 years. Right now I work in sales. I completely kind of got out of retail. And so I hold a 9 to 5 in sales. But what you want to look at is Target, how they clearance all their stuff is it's done by a clearance team. It's really, really promiscuous. Like they don't target any areas. If they happen to be by an end cap with some clearance and it's not selling, they'll just ticket it down. And they have the full power to ticket down however far they want, as long as it stays like 30% above the actual price they bought it at. You might go in there one day and stuff's like 20, 30% off. Usually 30% off is the main ticket area that they start at. 2 days later, it could be 70.
I don't know much about retail. I just did a little stint in like college, but I go to the Home Depot all the time. They let me bring my dog in there. So I walk in all the time. I'm browsing. A lot of times there's stuff on clearance. Anyway, I had my eye on this like pizza grilling kit, the stone and all that stuff. And it was like $125, and I kept watching it. And sure enough, towards the very end of like fall, and I'm in Bozeman, Montana, so it gets cold here. People are not grilling outside in like the winter. So I think in like November, like it kept getting marked down, and finally it was like $24, and I was like, I can't believe like this is so cheap. You can't even buy the stone, let alone the hardware. So it's like you got to hang on for a long time. Of course, I just wanted to like make pizza myself.
Right, exactly. And that would be like a retail arbitrage kind of thing. Like what you did, you would just watch it. And as soon as it goes down, you would buy it and resell it.
Gotcha. And I should have bought the rest of them, but I just bought the one. I didn't even, I was like, I bet I could resell it, but it never, I was like, I'll have to ship it. The stone's heavy and all that stuff, but you could just get the seller to pay for it. Right. So
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Just get them to pay for the ship.
So you mentioned that you are, you're working your full-time gig, and then you're doing this on the side, but you're putting in like some serious hours. So thanks again for spending time talking to me. But how do you find motivation to like keep pushing?
So that's a hard answer, because really your motivation, everybody's motivated for whatever motivates their self. And people are normally motivated for what's best for them and their family, right? So money motivates me. Growing a business motivates me. And so what I do is I actually, I have business accounts and stuff like that I have to keep books on and stuff. And since I work a full-time job, most of that money, I just don't touch it. I don't pay myself. And eventually, when I do quit my full-time job, most of our bills, our house should be all paid off way early. and we won't have to worry about anything.
That's I guess a very good why. It comes back like, why are we doing this? So that's awesome. Like, it'll obviously pay off, and it's really awesome for your family and stuff. That's pretty cool. There must be times where you also get like frustrated, and maybe it goes back to the same thing where you're like, all right, why am I doing this? And you sort of regroup. Is it pretty much the same when you're frustrated? Is that how you get out of the hole?
Oh yeah. Like, you're going to hit a lot of frustrations in stuff like reselling. Any kind of business, you're going to hit frustrations. So what you got to do is you got to find the best way to kind of regroup yourself to get past it. You got to move past it. You just got to blow past it and not look back. And so, one of the biggest frustrations a lot of resellers have is they say, I can't find nothing to sell in my area. Think about that for a second, and then realize in the United States, okay, we are the most wasteful people in the entire world. So anytime you go to a thrift store, a garage sale, anything, what you got to do is look at what's available to you, and that's what you sell.
I'm just thinking of some of the thrift stores around here, and there's our population is fairly small here in Montana, but even so, there are like sort of wealthy pockets, like Big Sky. There's a couple thrift stores where you could find like really awesome stuff because these wealthy folks just kind of got rid of it. It's very interesting. So
yeah, absolutely.
Now, in my sort of area of affiliate marketing, we talk about mastermind groups a lot. Are you part of a mastermind group or anything similar?
I currently am not. One of the people I watch on YouTube a lot, he does a lot of sales vlogs. He has a mastermind group, is the Hardcore Closer. And that's a super good channel to kind of get motivated.
And I take it you haven't been in the past either?
No, okay. I have not.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know, for the folks that I've been talking to in some of the other interviews like this, it's almost like a little therapy session where you're just talking shop, and you could make it as serious or not as sort of casual as you want. But yeah, it's sort of like we can gripe about business a little bit, talk shop, and it's a nice way to just catch up. So
absolutely.
You were talking about like this round table that you do with other resellers. Do you want to just mention that? It's not really a mastermind group per se, but I'm sure you guys are able to vent a little bit in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm part of a panel show on YouTube, and it's called the Reseller Six Pack. And there's about 8 to 10 of us that are actually in the group. And what we do is we talk about business, reselling, because there's a lot like reselling. A lot of people don't view reselling as a business, but it is a legit business model. And a lot of resellers are even going towards more of buying wholesale. And so what you really got to think about is, how can I grow this business? And that's what we talk about. And it's a good time. It's on Sundays at 7 p.m. Central.
Cool. Central Time. All right. Let's say you're able to talk to someone who is interested in just getting started. Maybe they're a little nervous to maybe go to a garage sale or a thrift store. They're afraid that they're going to like buy something that they, can't recoup their money or they'll lose money on. What advice do you have like for the brand new person getting started?
So for the brand new person just getting started, my advice would be to take 10, 15, or 20, whatever you can afford. Go to a thrift store or anything and just get your phone out. Literally, this is a computer that you carry around with you all day long, every day. And if you take it out and you just download the eBay app and you start looking up stuff, you can look at completed listings and you can see what it sold for, if it didn't sell. And at that point, when you buy that item, that's your profit. You just got to sell it, but it sells for that. And so probably my advice would be, don't be afraid to lose money, because you're going to lose money. In any business, you're going to lose, even if it's $1, eventually you're going to lose money. Just, take the risk, even if it's small or big, and just research it out.
And, my brain is going to, all right, I see that the product sold, looks good. The price works out. Shipping. How do I make sure I don't lose the profit in shipping?
For me, I do a lot of free shipping on eBay. I just bake the shipping cost into my item price. And so regardless if someone's saying I'm going to, sell this for $20 and $7 shipping, how I list my items is I always go to the lowest price on eBay and I look at the price. And for the most part, a customer, they're going to go to eBay and they're going to hit the lowest price because they want the best deal, right? And if they're selling it for $19 with $7 in shipping at the lowest, well, I'm going to come in $1 and under what they are, but it's still going to have the shipping cost in it.
Right. Cool. So you just have to think ahead. All the numbers are there for you, so you should be all right. Cool.
And now there is like some stuff you can do on eBay, like you can do calculated shipping, where when the buyer actually buys it from you, it calculates their shipping before they actually confirm the final purchase. And then it's just added in.
Nice. And how do you do your shipping? Like what service do you use?
So I use either FedEx or USPS, the post office. Through eBay, you get like, on certain services, usually about 30% off to 20% off. And so FedEx is usually cheaper on heavier items, but if it's like clothing and stuff like that, usually like priority or first class through USPS. Cool.
I'm curious if you have any side hustle business ideas that you don't have time for. You sound like a busy man. So if you have any business ideas, maybe scratches your own itch.
So, one of my business ideas in the past was creating board games. And around holiday season, you can look up like manufacturers in China and stuff like that. You can sketch out a board game, kind of illustration, have them printed up for fairly cheap. And then you could technically flip all of them either at flea markets in the winter, or you could just sell them right on Amazon or eBay. And that was one of my business ideas in the past, and I just never really got to it,
Yeah. Are you a big board game person?
Yeah, I like board games. So when people buy board games, they're buying time with their family. You know what I mean? And that's why people and families like board games. And so for me, that was one idea I had, and I come up with like 500 a day usually because my mind's constantly running, but I never remember any of them.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. Like once you start seeing some opportunities, it's like a floodgate and you're just like, I can't do more. I need to stop coming up with these ideas.
Right.
Cool. Any others?
I had one really good idea a while back ago and I completely forgot what it was, but it was, oh yeah. So it's a blanket. Okay. It's a blanket that has a zipper in the middle of it, but not really a zipper. You could do like buttons or something where it's not like really hard on the skin.
Sure.
So that way, when you and your spouse don't want to share the blanket, it tears apart.
I see. All right. That's a pretty good one. Yeah. And I never heard or thought of that. Yeah. So I kind of want to geek out on the YouTube stuff. So what kind of gear do you use? What's your workflow look like and stuff like that?
So on my YouTube channel, what I do is I use Morning Fame to research all my content. And so I will actually research out content on what's getting good views, what's not getting good views. And then I make the video from there. So like if I type in retail arbitrage, which my Dollar General video or my Dollar Tree video I made actually was like ranking number 5 in that entire group. But what I'll do is I'll research like a good title or a good like retail arbitrage, a good set of keywords. And then I'll look at the videos and I can see what keywords they're actually using. And then I kind of build off of that for me.
Okay, cool. And you said you've been on YouTube for about a year and it looks like your growth's like pretty awesome, right?
Yeah. About a year and a few months. And, it took a long time to grow. So I did probably a solid 7 months of just talking to myself, not really having anybody watch. And that's pretty typical. Usually when you start off a YouTube channel, it's pretty rough, right? And then you slowly start to build an influence. And for me, I think the best part is doing it from the ground up and building an organic following.
I know exactly what you're talking about. A lot of I had some rough ones in the very beginning, but you leave them out there, it's part of the whole deal. So the evolution,
right?
Very cool. So I guess, do you have any goals for your channel in the coming year, or what's your aim here?
Yeah. So for my channel in the next year, really what I want to do is keep growing it and see how much it can grow. I'm going to be eventually getting better video editing software to throw up on my PCs, and as well as new filming equipment and stuff like that. So
cool. And what are you filming on right now?
So really, all it is a GoPro or my phone. I have a GoPro Hero 4. I also have like a Samsung. It's like the 1080 bulb like the 360 view camera.
Cool.
And then I use my Samsung, either that or my S9 Plus. But what I'm looking at probably in the next month is I'll be getting like a G7X to vlog and stuff with. So
cool. I mean, these cell phones these days are freaking awesome. So it's hard to argue with them. So, I mean, I have some other gear too, cause I like, tech gadgets and all that stuff. Right. And it's an excuse to get another lens or whatever, but cool. So you're using what you had. And then you were shooting videos and you didn't go crazy. And I know some people, they're like, I'm going to buy all this stuff like right when you're getting started. So you were doing work like right away, basically.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, with YouTube, even if you're making money off the AdSense, you're not going to make that right away. Like you have a solid year to build that organic following before you really make your first cent. So really what I did was I bought a GoPro Hero 4. I went on Let Go and I typed in GoPro Hero 4 and I negotiated one down and bought it for $100. And it came with all of the accessories. And then I actually, the video editing software I use is Filmora Wondershare. And it's pretty cheap. I think you can get a subscription around for less than $100. And if you buy it once, you have it, period. Nice. It's just a one-time buy. And so for me, I did that just to start out with. And I'm like, well, I'll film with my phone too, because on Samsung, like if you have an S9 Plus, they have really good video. And so, I'm like, well, I'll do this for a while and see how it works. And I bought a webcam. Nice. And that's, and some mics and stuff like that. But that's really all I bought. I mean, to start my channel out with, probably had maybe $150 wrapped up.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Thanks a lot, Shane. Appreciate you taking the time. Where should people find you?
So you can find me on YouTube. It's Rise and then just the letter N and then Grind Picker. Or you can hit me up over on Instagram at Rise and Grind Picker. So.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot to Shane. I really appreciate him taking the time to talk to me, and definitely check out his channel, Rise and Grind Picker. I'll put a link in the show notes and description. And, he's on Instagram too, so check that out as well. The cool thing is his channel is is seriously blowing up. He's creating excellent content. Viewers are responding really well to it, and the YouTube algorithm, the YouTube gods there are smiling upon him. So I think it's worth checking out. And one cool thing that I realized as I was looking at, different side hustlers to interview when I was looking at this sort of, side hustle idea a little bit more. I mean, I've spent a lot of time. I've spent a few years in the affiliate marketing area. And if you're listening to this, you probably know I talk mostly about Amazon affiliate marketing, but there's huge pockets of people who are really into things, subcultures, we'll call them. And there are just subcultures where there's ecosystems, there's whole economies and, people making money, people doing things, and influencers in individual areas. Super interesting because I really wasn't paying much attention to any sort of retail arbitrage. But at the time when I was doing some research, I was watching a decent number of Gary V videos, Gary Vaynerchuk. And I don't know, I go through phases sometimes where I'm interested in hearing from Gary V. And then other times I feel like he's yelling at me or other people. And maybe I don't appreciate his approach on those particular days, but other times I love it. So anyway, I was listening to Gary do some videos on retail arbitrage. Apparently he likes doing that sort of stuff. I think he did a couple of vlogs where, he went around to garage sales in his area and he was flipping stuff. He was literally going around like Shane, trying to find good deals. And it was about the hunt, it was like the lifestyle. He really enjoyed it. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is I didn't even have a clue that there were so many people doing so much in the retail arbitrage area. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. I had been exposed to the idea quite a bit when I was getting into affiliate marketing, because a lot of the same people who were doing Amazon affiliate marketing were also doing FBA, and FBA, not where they were private labeling their own products. They were buying things and then just having Amazon do the fulfillment. So in that way, I was kind of familiar with it, but I was like, it sounds fine. It sounds like, a straightforward business model. But for me, I had a full-time job at the time, and I was like, I don't really want to go around and look for the deals. Like, I don't want to run around, sit in traffic. I was living in Atlanta at the time. I don't want to sit in the car for more hours going to all the fucking Walmarts in the Atlanta area or Target or whatever. I'm just like, I don't want to do that. It doesn't sound that fun. Now, personally, I like to get a good deal on my own if I'm buying stuff for myself. But I was like, at scale, I don't like the way it would work out for me personally, right? For me personally, that's not where I wanted to spend my time. Because to me, it sounded like a lot of it was just going to be in the car, not fun for me personally. But obviously, it works really well for a lot of people. And like I said, there's a whole subculture, which I didn't even realize existed. And as I started looking at more YouTubers, that was kind of the area where I was trying to spend my time doing research. I saw there were at least dozens of very big YouTubers doing some form of retail arbitrage, and they were getting like massive numbers of views. And as I have been going to retail shops more recently, I moved, so I'm buying a bunch of crap that I need to fill up my house and that sort of thing. I'm seeing clearance items at the hardware store, at Walmart, at what other stores am I going into? Walmart, Lowe's, Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm over at the Target. And basically, you end up seeing there's a lot of stuff for sale. And sometimes it's a really good deal. I can see how, you can make this work. And I'm in the Denver area right now where there are there's a bunch of these retail stores. I don't know how many Walmarts there are in the area, but the point is, if you wanted to, you could drive around and get the great deals all over town and then make this work. And if you like the hunt, if you like doing that stuff, then it's probably a fantastic business model. Now, on the other side of the equation, I appreciate the consumer side. And in probably the last 2 years or so, I've been reading a lot more. In fact, I started buying like more physical books. And sometimes they are older books that, maybe they were New York Times bestsellers in the past or just other good books. And if you look around on eBay, for example, a lot of times you could find them for, 75% off. They're 10-year-old books, and you could probably find them at the library, but some books are good. And I want to own them. Now, not everybody, wants to, buy more stuff to take up space or whatever, or to read. A lot of people don't read much. But for me, I was like, you know what? I've read this book before. I really like it. And I'm looking at one on the shelf right now, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And it's a great book. I read it from the library at one point, the ebook copy. I read it and I was like, this is a fantastic book. I'm actually going to buy it. So I went to eBay, shopped around a little bit, and I think I got it from like a Goodwill from, somewhere in the middle of the country. I have no idea where. And it was like, I don't remember, $5, like under $5, because I think it's a paperback, the particular version I have. The point is, I enjoy it from a consumer standpoint because you can get basically a brand new book. A lot of books are, not used very heavily. Now, sometimes you end up with one that's kind of, busted up. But when it comes down to it, as long as it's not marked up and like too rough where you can't read it or it's somehow unenjoyable, then you have a little bit of a problem. But most of the time, people donate books to Goodwill or some other charity, and they end up reselling them for pretty cheap. So, if you want to take advantage of the other side and get some good deals, that's a great way to do it. I'm going to skip the Q&A for this episode, but if you want to ask any questions, send an email over to feedback@doug.show. And I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this episode. And I almost forgot to leave the voicemail number, which I can't remember off the top of my head yet, but it's 406-813-0613. 406-813-0613. And you can leave a voicemail, of course. Tell me your name. Tell me where you're from. You can ask a question. You can leave a compliment. Jokes are good. I like to laugh. Maybe you have a short anecdote that's humorous. Maybe it's not a straight up joke, but I imagine it'll probably fit better if you ask a question related to marketing or, something that we normally talk about. You can ask a beer question. I know a lot about beer as well. And at this point, I'm just rambling. So let's just roll the credits here. All right. Thanks a lot for joining me on The Doug Show. I really do appreciate you taking the time. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I have a ton of other episodes out there covering lots of different topics. Sometimes I just tell stories. If you are a long-time listener, I appreciate you too. If you haven't left a review, that is awesome, because now you have an opportunity to leave a review, and that would be totally cool, and I would really appreciate it. If you're looking to get started with affiliate marketing or making money online or anything like that, you should go over to nichesiteproject.com. That is my blog. Once you're over there, you just click the green button, enter your name and email address, and then I'll send you a bunch of cool stuff. I'll send you templates, some motivational emails, and I think there's probably just some random emails that I send out there also. So we'll catch you next time on The Doug Show. Thanks.